Before we dive in, hit that like button and smash subscribe. It might just be a click for you, but for us, it really helps the channel. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us. This romantic film begins with a girl named Tessa embarking on her first day at a new college located a bit far away from home. Accompanied by her mother Carol and her boyfriend Noah, they drop her off at the college dormitory. Upon arrival, Tessa is introduced to two outgoing and talkative girls named Steph and Tristan. As they settle in, Carol smells a cannabis and decides to leave, but Tessa follows her and pleads with her not to cause a scene. Assuring her mother to trust her, Tessa promises to handle the situation. Her mother, proud of her maturity, bids her farewell and wishes her well in college. Noah also bids her farewell with an adorable kiss before heading out. As Tessa enters her room, Steph curiously asks if she managed to freak out her mother. Mistakenly, Steph comments on how cute Tessa's brother is, but Tessa quickly corrects her, revealing that he is, in fact, her boyfriend. The next morning, she wakes up feeling excited. She walks eagerly to her classroom and is pleasantly surprised to find a guy named Landon there. Landon is an English major, while Tessa, on the other hand, is studying economics. Tessa is thrilled to see Landon and feels a sense of excitement about her classes. Later, when Tessa returns to her dormitory after taking a refreshing bath, she finds a guy named Hardin sitting inside the room, calmly reading a book. Tessa is shocked to see the guy in her room and asks him to leave. Hardin tells her not to worry because he is not looking at her. Just then, Steph arrives and confirms that he is their friend. Steph invites Tessa to the party, but Hardin is sure that she won't go. As he leaves, he mischievously spoils the ending of the book Tessa was reading, The Great Gatsby. One morning, Tessa is studying in the library when she unexpectedly sees Hardin again. This encounter makes her feel uneasy, and they briefly lock eyes. Later, Steph approaches Tessa and invites her to a party that night. Tessa initially doesn't want to go to the party, but she decides to make a change. She picks out a dress, but Steph thinks it's a bit too formal. Eventually, they arrive at the party where everyone is enjoying themselves and having fun. Later, Tessa is introduced to all of Steph's friends at the party. They encourage her to have a drink. Initially hesitant, Tessa eventually decides to take a shot, especially after one of the girls in the group speaks rudely about her. The group decides to play a game of truth or dare. When it's Tessa's turn, she chooses truth and is asked about the craziest place she has had a romantic moment. Uncomfortable, she decides to pass on the question and opts for a dare instead. Hardin approaches Tessa and asks if she wants to do something, but she's done with the game and walks away. She calls Noah, but he scolds her for drinking, so she ends the call. Later, she goes to the storage room and looks at the books. Hardin approaches her again and asks what she's looking for. Tessa is worried if he's drunk, but he assures her that he doesn't drink, just like her. He reveals that this is his room and holds her hand. He asks if their dare is still on. As they were about to kiss, she stops saying she can't do it and leaves. Later that night, before going to bed, she receives a text from Noah. The next day, she attends class and sits with Landon. It is revealed that Hardin, who was at the party, is also a new student. During the class, the professor asks a question about a romance book. Hardin expresses his belief that love is merely a transaction, and that everyone is hardwired to desire certain traits that can be turned on and off. However, Tessa contradicts him by pointing out that the women in the book rejected the man when he treated them poorly, which she finds amazing considering the old era. After class, Hardin meets her and tells her that it was exciting before leaving. Tessa then starts complaining to Landon about how arrogant Hardin is. To her surprise, Landon reveals that Hardin is actually his relative. Hardin's father is dating Landon's mother, but their relationship is strained and they barely tolerate each other. Later that night, Steph decides to get a tattoo and asks Tessa to join her. While talking, Tessa reveals that Noah is the only person she has ever dated, and her mother believes that they will eventually get married. Before going to bed, Tessa sees Steph having some romantic moments with her girlfriend and quickly turns her face away. The following day, Tessa is at a coffee shop when Hardin approaches her. He expresses his desire to start over and be friends, citing their mutual friend Steph as a reason. Hardin suggests showing Tessa a place, but she initially wants to keep her distance. However, she ultimately decides to go along with Hardin. They drive a few miles away to a location that resembles a jungle. As they continue walking, Tessa's attention is drawn to a large lake. Hardin reveals that this is his favorite place and suggests they go for a swim. He undresses and jumps into the water, urging Tessa to join him. He offers her his t-shirt to wear and looks away while she puts it on. In the water, Hardin slowly guides Tessa and they both start to enjoy themselves. Tessa asks Hardin about the person he loves the most, and he reveals that it is himself. He then asks about her boyfriend and learns that he is a high school student who loves her. Hardin teaches Tessa how to hold her breath underwater and introduces her to the concept of silence. Throughout their interaction, Hardin looks at Tessa as if she is a precious, forbidden gem that he has discovered. Tessa mentions that Hardin had expressed a desire to be friends, but he explains that they can never just be friends. They then share a passionate kiss. Afterward, Hardin averts his gaze to give Tessa privacy to change, but instead, she touches him and they begin to have intimate moments together. Every touch Tessa experienced from Hardin made her breath faster, intensifying her excitement. Later, they decide to go to a bar together. Tessa asks Hardin about his past life, but he chooses not to answer the question. When she asks why he doesn't believe in love, referencing the incident in class, he advises her not to believe everything he says and manages to make her laugh. Meanwhile, Steph and another friend of Hardin's join them at the bar, causing Hardin to act somewhat strangely. Eventually, he confesses to Tessa that everything they've been doing has been fun, but he doesn't date, leaving Tessa disappointed as she was about to reveal their relationship to her boyfriend. Hardin appears disappointed as well after Tessa leaves. Later, in her dorm, Tessa wakes up to find Hardin sitting next to her, but realizes it was just a dream. The next day, she is surprised to find her boyfriend standing outside with flowers. She can't believe he is there. Tessa and Noah attend a party that night, where Steph and her group suggest playing the suck and blow game. When it's Tessa's turn to participate in the game, she chooses not to join in. This prompts Noah to act protectively towards her. Hardin intervenes, and a fight breaks out between him and his friend. After the altercation, Hardin quickly leaves the scene. Later that night, Tessa is watching a movie with Noah, but she is preoccupied with something on her mind. During the night, she receives a call from Landon and decides to meet up with him. Landon informs Tessa that Hardin and he had a fight, and Hardin mentioned her name during the altercation, suggesting that she might be able to help him. Tessa learns that Hardin is upset about his father getting married to Landon's mother, while his own mother lives in unfavorable conditions back in London. In a moment of frustration, Hardin breaks a glass, causing Tessa to get injured while trying to clean up the mess. Hardin takes her to his room and apologizes for his previous behavior. He admits that he is a mess, and Tessa realizes that she is also struggling with her own issues. This shared vulnerability leads to a series of small romantic moments between them. Eventually, they end up sleeping together in Hardin's room throughout the night. Tessa bumps into Noah, who is deeply concerned about her. Just as Noah notices Hardin standing nearby, he realizes what is truly happening between Tessa and Hardin. Disturbed by the situation, Noah quickly leaves the scene. Tessa, feeling devastated, walks back to her dormitory, visibly upset. She catches the attention of Steph, who notices her emotional state. Tessa feels a deep sense of loss, unable to put into words the emotion she is experiencing. She is incredibly sad during her classes and tries to reach out to Noah. One day, she unexpectedly encounters Hardin outside, and they decide to have a conversation. Hardin is surprised to see her. Tessa begins to share the story of her father leaving when she was only 10 years old. Her mother struggled to cope with the pain, and during this time, Noah was there to help take care of her. Tessa reveals that Noah is not just her boyfriend, but something more significant to her. One day, Hardin convinces Tessa to stay in the library after closing time. He reads a book while she sits on his lap. They are caught by security but laugh as they run away together. It becomes a memorable moment for both of them. Their friends start to notice their relationship, and Hardin can't even wait for Tessa's class to end before coming inside and complimenting her beauty. One day, Tessa sees Hardin writing something in a notebook. She wants to see it, but he teases her playfully. Soon after, they start to share romantic moments. Suddenly, Tessa's mother walks in and finds them in a compromising position. This angers her mother, who accuses Tessa's roommate of being a bad influence. Her mother believes that Tessa will ruin her life because of a boy. Tessa argues back, asserting her right to live her life the way she wants. This upsets her mother and leaves her feeling emotional. Before leaving, her mother suggests that Hardin will break Tessa's heart and cut her off. Later, Tessa confides in Landon about the situation, but he believes that Hardin is a complicated person. He advises her to be cautious. Despite the warning, Hardin takes Tessa to a place owned by a friend of his father, who is currently in Italy. Hardin suggests that they live together in this place. Since Tessa's mother has cut her off, Hardin feels the need to take action. They both move into this place and begin to build a happy relationship together. They spend a lot of time together, cherishing the small moments and sharing laughter. They start traveling to various places, creating new memories together. Hardin is still in disbelief that Tessa is now his, feeling unworthy of her love. On the other hand, Tessa is confident that nothing will change the way she feels about him. Later, they attend the wedding party of Hardin and Landon's parents. Tessa and Hardin have the opportunity to meet Landon's mother, Karen, and his father. Both parents are delighted to meet Tessa. However, Hardin becomes visibly upset when he sees his father with another woman. Tessa tries her best to calm him down and provide support. As the evening progresses, Hardin's father takes the stage to give a speech in front of all the guests. Even though Hardin's father is praising him, Hardin confides in Tessa that the man standing before them is not the same father he grew up with. Although Hardin's father has changed, there are still some parts of his character that have remained the same. He proceeds to describe a situation where his father got into trouble with the wrong people at a pub. When these individuals sought revenge by returning to their house, his father was unable to prevent them from harming his real mother. They share a dance, their eyes locked on each other, and eventually find themselves in a private room where Tessa decides to create a romantic atmosphere. One day, Molly looks at Tessa with jealousy, prompting her to inquire about Tessa's boyfriend. Molly is curious to learn more about Hardin, but Tessa chooses not to divulge many details. Later, Molly sends a text message on Hardin's phone that raises Tessa's suspicions about him. When she confronts Hardin and asks him about what he might be hiding, he reassures her to trust him and insists that there is nothing to hide. Despite feeling anxious, Tessa eagerly waits for Hardin's call. Tessa receives a text from one of her friends, urging her to meet at Videodrome to discuss Hardin. She gets into a car and discovers Jace waiting for her. Jace informs Tessa that Hardin might be at Blind Bob's. At Blind Bob's, Tessa encounters Steph and her friends. Tessa opens up and admits that she had been living with Hardin off campus. Molly hints that something is happening, but doesn't disclose the exact details. Instead, she shows Tessa a video of the day they played Truth or Dare for the first time. Hardin was dared to make Tessa fall in love with him and then break her heart. Tessa is shocked and hurt by this revelation. Hardin insists that it's not true and that his feelings for her were genuine. However, Tessa decides to leave and not waste any more time. She feels incredibly lonely and returns home, where she finds comfort in hugging her mother. Tessa chooses not to disclose the full truth of what happened, but she apologizes to her mother. She expresses her love and then walks away to meet Noah, who is curious about her presence. Tessa explains that she never intended to hurt him. She accepts her and they share a laugh. Tessa returns to the university and begins writing an email to switch her major from economics to English. Meanwhile, Hardin is unable to move on from their breakup and finds himself in tears as he reminisces about the moments they shared. On the other hand, Tessa receives an interview invitation for an internship at Vance Publishing. While sitting in a lecture, her teacher hands her an envelope, claiming that it was given to her by Hardin and that it is meant more for Tessa than for anyone else. Inside the envelope, Tessa discovers that Hardin had been drawing pictures of her in his notebook. Tessa also reads a letter from Hardin, in which he reveals that he used to believe love was only a fictional concept until he met her, his own Elizabeth Bennet. He expresses how she has consumed him completely and how he longs to hold her hand and be led out of the darkness. He asks for her forgiveness and admits that she is the person he loves most in the world. The movie concludes with this heartfelt revelation.
For more videos like this, please subscribe, turn on notifications and leave a comment or like. It really helps the channel. Thank you for watching.